watching. Let me know if there's comments. Jay Lamar, thank you. Yeah, it was a good big order. Nice big order. Quite profitable. Not considering the amount of time it's taken to print, but worth it. Been averaging about 130 shirts an hour. So, not too bad. Need to make some more ink. Tim, how did I close this deal? Well, I have a connection to the school in the leadership, but I helped them understand the whole process. They hadn't in the past. They just got the cheap stuff, like the cheap Gildan shirts. I talked to them about how they could do more than just the cheap Gildan shirt. So I talked to them about better quality, like the Tultex, a little softer, is what I'm using here. You know, I listened to their frustrations, and I talked to them about how we could be different. And you know, they weren't sure about the design, on how to do the design, so I did a design for them, just based on what they wanted. And I talked to them about how a lot of times people try to pick one color shirt and do a multicolored print to get the color, but that's just adding extra cost that's unnecessary for an event like this. That's, you know, the kids don't care what the design is really. They usually sign each other's shirts. And so I said, why don't we do a one color design and do it the same on all the shirts and let the shirts add the color. You know, so we did white, royal, red, and yellow. And, you know, that way they can see, you know, the different groups of kids while they're doing the run, got the different color shirts on. So, I don't know, I just built a relationship, developed a conversation that actually started last fall. And, you know, was talking about doing some other things with them, so I kind of showed that I could provide value beyond just this fun run. We're going to do a fundraiser, and I was showing them how I could, you know, get them tens of thousands of dollars with a fundraiser. And I think the relationship just kind of built from there. And so when it came time to do the fun run, they were ready to let me be a part of it, even though I was not the cheapest. But they feel like I'm taking care of them, and I've worked with them to get this kind of settled, help them make some choices and some recommendations. And so it's really just all about relationship. At the end of the day, it's not even about what you price it, because like I said, I'm more expensive than the group. They're using the Booster group to, there's a company called Boosters. They're using them to run the fun run, and they could print it, but yeah, you just build that relationship. But yeah, so I was more expensive than that Booster company by like almost $4. And so, but they don't want to continue using that company, and that company's got a lot of bad reviews. And they were just kind of getting by this year. So we're going to be doing this again in the fall. And I'm going to help them with even more than just, you know, the shirts. I'm going to take the design whatever we come up with for the fall and help them do some posters and some other branded elements, and maybe even a fundraiser at the same time. Helping them, you know, this time it was kind of a headache for them to get all the sizes, and so I've already made recommendations about how I could help gather the sizes next year, because it's not going to add any extra cost to me. But then I also recommended that they ask for t-shirt sizes during enrollment, you know, during the first week of school when everybody's getting started and parents are filling out forms and stuff. We're going to get t-shirt sizes then. And so really at the end of the day, it's not even about price, it's about working with them to help make their life easier and building that relationship, because they can get the price approved if you get in front of the right person. Even if, you know, I needed a check to order the apparel. You hear all the time that schools require, you know, you have to get POs and there's terms, and, you know, you can't get paid up front. That's nonsense. Don't believe that. You can get paid up front. And I was told by like office staff that the payment was going to go through a week later than expected, and I was like, no, that's not going to work. I need it in the next 2 days. And she was like, well, that's not how our process works. They only do checks on Fridays. So I work with the principal to get the necessary steps taken the next day on a Monday, the next business day on a Monday, and I got a check. So don't believe the processes. There's a way to do it. And if you build the right relationship to where they see the value in you being a part of it, they can pull strings and do things to get you paid ahead of time, at least half, but I got all up front. I always get all up front. But it's all about those relationships and making their life easier. Thought I had a different mic selected, so hopefully you heard all that. What other questions about this order, or anything for that matter? Just comment, tell me who you are and where you're watching from. It's definitely the biggest order I've ever printed. I think before this I printed one that was over 500. I've done a couple of 400s, like a couple, maybe 5 or 6 over the years. Usually don't take in the big orders. I usually outsource them. But this one, just making too much money on. And it's a simple print. I made sure that I set this up in a way, and I sold it in a way that I knew was going to make my life easier. The one color print, dark ink, these simple shirts. So I made sure it was something I could move quickly on, and decided to keep all the money instead of outsourcing. So therefore, it's the biggest order I've ever had. I'm running at about 130 shirts an hour. Did 585 shirts yesterday. I still got a couple of weeks to get it done. That's another thing I worked in my favor, is worked with them to get a due date, and like a drop dead date of like, hey, this is the latest I absolutely can get this. The event is not until like March 13th, but I'm going out of town March 3rd. So I have until March 3rd to get this done. But like I said, I got a third of the order done yesterday. I'll probably get another third done today. And then I'll print a little bit on Monday night and Wednesday night of this week. And then probably finish next weekend and be totally done. So I'll be done ahead of time, which, it's going to look good for them. They're going to appreciate that. I'm boxing them, in a way that's going to make their life easier. They've got 2 campuses, so I'm going to box them separately for each campus. I've got spreadsheets that tell me what goes where. So relationships turn into sales. And sales that are not dependent upon price. It's a mixture of adult and youth shirts. The Tultex 202 or the 235. The white is a full cotton. The other colors are heathered, so they're a polycotton blend. And it ranges from adult 2X down to youth extra small. I'm doing the same print, the same design on everything. I'm using the same screen for youth medium and up. The youth extra small and small will get this smaller print right here. If you're watching, I would love to say hi. So leave a comment. I mean, where you're watching from, it's always interesting to hear, especially when it's other countries. Yep. Leave them on there. So leave them on there. Oh, that one's way crooked. Hey, buddy. Careful, please. Who's watching? Say hi. You think anybody's watching?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm watching you.
You watching?
Whoa. Anybody's watching? Anybody's watching.
Leave those alone, please.
Right.
All right. Can you stop moving this? I need this to stay still. I need to stay right there, please.
Why is this so fun?
I don't know. Hey, can you stop, please? Thank you.
Wait.
Hey, stop, please. Thank you. Look at me. Can you go play? Yeah, I need you to go over there because you're getting into stuff. I don't care if you're over here, but you can't get into stuff. Okay? Hey, don't do that. Sorry for all the sniffing. If you're watching and you haven't told me who you are or where you're watching from, I'd love to know so I can say hi so that I just don't sit here quietly. Or if you have any questions, something we could talk about. Or maybe you guys would just rather me not talk. That's fine too. Sure, you can hear my son playing in the background. Or how about comment, what's the largest order you've ever printed if you're printing on a manual? If you're printing on automatic, you're cheating, so you don't get to participate in this game. We're all just jealous. But if you're printing on a manual, what's the biggest order you've ever printed? And how long did it take you, or something like that. This is certainly the biggest one I've ever printed. Yesterday I printed 585 shirts over a period of 4.5 hours, so averaging 130 shirts an hour. Or is anybody watching that does not have a screen print business that is considering getting into it? Oh, there's a comment. Let's go take a look. Mark. So sportswear, screen printing, and embroidery. I don't know if that's Bayonne, New Jersey, somewhere. So the white covering, yeah, this is insulation that's down in my basement. So I'm in Colorado. This is what they do on the interior basement walls for unfinished. If this were finished, then it would, of course, have framing and drywall. But this is an unfinished basement, and so they put that insulation on the interior walls of them. And it looks like you get some big orders each year, which is great. 1,900, I think you said, and then is the 1,300 maybe another one, but front and back, so more like 2,600, which is a lot. I intentionally did not want them to do front and back on these because I told them it would be a higher price, so that kind of convinced them to, yeah, let's do just front. A lot of times schools want to do like, well, we thought we might do the school logo on the back. And, this is where my experience in marketing over the years comes in handy, because it's like, well, but why do you want the school logo on the back? Well, it's advertised. We want to promote the school. Like, how many people are going to be at this fund run that are not already supporting the school? And the answer is 0. Okay, so how many people are going to see these shirts that the kids are wearing out and about, just in town, and think, oh, that's super cool. I want to learn more about that school. Not very many. So you're going to spend extra money for advertising purposes to advertise the school at an event that is for people that are already at the school. That doesn't make much sense. And so there's not any reason to spend the money. And this is not the type of design where you're really going to attract people for marketing purposes to a school. The purpose of this event is to raise money, and so the kids do fundraising ahead of the run, and they get sponsored for the number of laps they're going to run, and that's the whole intent. And they want some commemorative item. You know, the kids like having a shirt, wearing all the shirts, and they like to sign them. So there's value in the shirt itself, but let's not go overboard putting prints all over the place and using it as an advertisement piece. If it's an advertisement piece, let's do a nicer shirt. Let's do a nicer print, something that perhaps does not have the school logo on it, and that more people would want to purchase that do not go to the school. Now we're getting into fundraising areas. So I told them my recommendation was to not do a back print because there's not any value in that for them for an event like this. And they agreed. So we stuck with the front. It's got the school name on it. It serves its purpose. The shirt does everything they wanted it to do. And they're happy with it. It's going to be nicer than the shirts they did last year, but it's still a inexpensive shirt. These are like $2 and something a piece. Of course, I got a discount on them because I'm ordering so many, so I got special pricing. Always be sure you ask for special price if you're ordering a lot. But do not pass that discount, that special price, onto your customer. That is not for them. That's for you. So if something's on sale or you get S&S to discount it, that is your profit, not your customer's. So do not pass that along to your customer. You're missing out on easy profit. And you're training them that they need to ask next time, is the shirt on sale? Those sale prices are not for them. No, they chose white. It's actually 4 different color shirts. We've got white, yellow, red, and royal blue, but they're all getting the same navy print. So I let them choose whatever color shirts they wanted and however many colors. I told them, you don't just have to choose 4 colors. You can choose 6 different colors. However many different colors you want your students wearing, it's fine with me, as long as it all gets the exact same print, including the same print color. So I didn't really want to change out print color. Of course, I could and just charge them a fee for that. But they chose white, royal blue, heather red, and heather mellow yellow is the color. It's kind of a athletic gold kind of color. But it didn't really matter to me what color they chose. Of course, the polyester blend, the heather colors are a little bit more, but I made pricing very simple for them. I just told them, here's what the price is going to be. You can choose, whatever options you want, and I'm not charging more for adults, more for 2X or anything like that. Everything is exact same price across the board. I told them there were no other fees on the invoice. I put a no charge for design fees so that they know they're getting some extra value. I'm not charging them for the design. I put no charge for screen fees, even though, I've got a couple of screens here. I've got the youth extra small and small size. Um, so I've got a screen resize in here that I'm not charging them for. So just making it super simple. I think they appreciated that. And I let them know, this price is for 1,600 shirts. If you go a little over and you get, 1,640 or 50, that's fine. I'm not going to charge, for every individual shirt that goes over the amount. It's just, it's this price. This order is for 1,600, whether you get 1,650 or 1,550. This is the total amount you're paying. And so, again, another thing that they appreciated that also allowed me to go ahead and invoice for the order before they actually had their sizes squared away. And so that allowed, us to get the ball rolling for invoicing and things like that. So there are ways to kind of simplify things for your customer, and at least that's what works for me. I even told them if they wanted any like nice tri-blend shirts, I could add some of those, same price. I wouldn't charge any extra for those if any of the adults wanted nicer ones. But they just wanted the adults to have all the exact same colors as the kids. And of course, some of the kids, this school is K through 8. So some of the kids are actually in adult sizes. So they opted not to get any of the premium items, just stick with all the same thing. All right, let's print some youth.
I'll help you.
I got them, buddy. Thank you. I know, but you can't lift these.
I can lift them. I can lift them and say.
Mm-hmm.
I can give it to you.
See, I don't want you to mess them up, though.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'll just give them.
Mm-hmm.
There.
Yeah, right.
Here, what is this? Right there.
Yeah, right there.
And for you? This is
Yep.
for
That's
you.
good.
And this.
Yeah, let's do the whole stack though.
And now do this one.
Yep, and I'm just going to do the whole stack. Those are the mediums.
He did them tomorrow. He did them tomorrow. Now we can watch the movie?
In a minute.
There we go.
All right, be right back, y'all. All right, I'm back. Get started printing again. Youth medium is the smallest I'm going on this design and these platens. Should probably add some more ink. Got a different size for the design, different screen for the use, small and extra small. And I'm going to swap out the platens for my 14 by 16. If you're watching, I would love for you to say hi. Let me know where you're at. I'll be right back. Oh, I'm back. If you're watching and you haven't said hi, say hi in the chat. Let me know that you're watching. I'll stream for a little bit more, and then I'm going to call it quits because it's kind of quiet down here, and I want to be able to play some music, and YouTube won't let me do that. Quiet bunch. The questions, comments. All right. Well, if there's no questions or comments, then I feel like y'all are just watching me in silence. Need something to talk about. Wish I had some royalty-free music to play or something. Mark's sticking around for a little while. Appreciate that. Yeah, I only print with water base. I do not print plastisol ink. I do not like it. It is easier to work with for sure because it doesn't dry in the screen. You know, if I was printing this with plastisol, I could leave the ink in the screen for days and not have to worry about that. But with water base, I got to clean it out when I am done for any significant amount of time. I'll stop and take lunch here in a little bit, and I'll take about a 30-minute to an hour break, and I won't clean out the screen. I'll just leave it flooded, and it'll be fine. But plastisol certainly a lot easier to deal with, but water-based cleans up easier, and I like the end result a whole lot better. So I only print with water-based ink. I've done that since the very beginning. In 2017, when I started my shop, when I was working at and running another shop, prior to that, we did plastisol ink, and I always hated it. Especially as a customer. And while I worked at the shop, I also had my own company that had a product, and I had apparel to go on with it. And I always felt like when I did the really nice, like Next Level or Bella Canvas tri-blend shirts, and then we did a plastisol print on there, it just felt like it was ruining the shirt because the scratchy feel of the plastisol or the thickness. Um, the one caveat with water based, Mark, is that white ink on a dark shirt. Um, you don't have the same opacity with water based as you do with plastisol, so there's going to be some a little bit more transparency to the ink. And white is certainly the most difficult water base to deal with because it does tend to dry out faster. It is thicker because they have to add so much pigment to get white. So I actually thin my white a little bit. I've got a video about that to make it stay wetter in the screen longer, be a little easier to work with. But typically, if I'm wanting a really bright white finish, then I'm doing one of two things, and it varies per customer. But I'm either doing a print flash print, and I'm making sure that I'm printing through something like a 156, get plenty of white laid down. Ideally, I'm going to print with like a 160 Hydro Mesh, or a 158, sorry, 158 Hydro Mesh. That's going to be a little thinner mesh, and it's going to lay down more white. So I'm going to go print flash print with that, or I'm going to print a white discharge. And that, of course, is going to be dependent on having a cotton garment. I love printing discharge on tri-blends. I think it ends with a really cool result. But I'm going for a bright, solid white, then I'm going to make sure that I steer the customer towards a cotton garment if that's what they want, and if they choose to pay for a discharge. Otherwise, tri-blend is fine, and I'm just going to do a print flash print on the white to get a brighter white. Sometimes you can do print flash if you really want it bright, but then you start to get into negating the value of water base because it's no longer soft and thin, it's a thicker print. What I tend to do is be honest and upfront with people about how water base does not have the same opacity. It doesn't always have the same vibrancy. You can get it, but it's a little bit more work. And so what I found is most of the time when presented with the option of a vintage kind of faded print versus a bright white, a lot of customers actually choose the vintage. And on those that are really dead set on bright white, it often tends to be smaller orders, and they don't really care what type of ink or print technology is used. They just know they want a really bright white finish. So we just do a DTF print. So that's my path. But this particular order, of course, I steered them towards using a dark ink on a light shirt or a colored shirt. I did not want to use white ink because it would have slowed me down. I would have had to make 2 passes, and there was not any reason for that. It doesn't increase the value of these shirts or get them to do different than what they're accomplishing this way. So, and of course, they wouldn't have been able to choose white as a shirt. So I made sure that we didn't choose any colors that weren't going to allow that navy blue ink to show up. Even on the royal blue, it's still going to show up just fine. It's going to be kind of a tone-on-tone look. But the preference is always working with a colored ink because these are thinner. They don't dry out as quickly. But one thing I always hated when I was running another shop years ago in Tennessee, it was like, gosh, it seemed like getting out of there on any given day without some ink on you somewhere was impossible. And that plastisol ink, you get it on your clothes, it's not coming out. And you get it on your hands, you're not just washing your hands with soap. You got to use a press wash or something to get that off and get the chemicals on you. And it's just the chemicals required were just harsh. And I just, I would rather have something that was a little easier on my skin to get off, and it didn't require me to have any chemicals here in the house. So water base is that. My cleaning solution is Costco baby wipes, and works perfectly. So we got a few more people joining. Say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. What questions you might have about water-based printing, or this job, or the weather, the upcoming baseball season. I don't care. Let's talk. I need to put the computer over here so I can see the comments. Yeah, Mark, it's what I'm using. I'm adding a low cure catalyst. So, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so this is warp drive low cure catalyst that I'm adding to the ink. It allows me to just get the print up to about between 250, 270, somewhere in there. So I've got the flash set up. I can actually keep an eye on it and see that once the steam is kind of showing, then I know, that steam is kind of my signal that it's reached the temperature it needs to. Um, so once it reaches that temperature, it hardens the print and the pigments um, chemically, so that over the next 24 to 48 hours, it will finish curing. And so, it's ideal if I'm delivering an order to a customer, next day after printing it, I'm usually letting them know, hey, don't wash these for another day or two. But that's always worked well for me. I don't have power down here in the basement to run a conveyor dryer. And I don't even have the power to run a forced air flash. So um, I've always just used the flash to cure, and adding that catalyst allows me to get the shirts up to a temperature that gets it curing, but not go too hot to scorch the shirts. And I raise the flash up and down depending on how fast I'm printing, so that I can let it sit for longer or shorter to make sure that I'm getting to the temp. But to this point, started printing in my own shop using Waterbase in 2017, and I've always used Green Galaxy, and I've always used that warp drive low cure catalyst. And to this point, I've never had an order come back to me or of my own shirts with the print fading or washing out or anything like that. So I've never had any curing issues as long as I've done that. So I've actually given my full trust to that low cure catalyst, because I don't even do like wash tests or anything like that. So I just have confidence that it's going to work, and since 2017, it has worked every single time. So it allows me, even without a conveyor, to run, fairly consistent speed here. Even though I'm pulling the shirts off, hanging them up, pulling them loose from the platen so that the heat can get underneath the print. I've been averaging 130 shirts an hour in this particular print. Moving a little slower today because I'm keeping an eye on comments, and I was streaming to TikTok and then Instagram and then now YouTube. So moving at a little slower pace because I'm stepping aside to do those things. But yeah, works pretty well. Usually what I'll do when I'm getting started on a print, like the first few shirts, as I'm kind of moving, I will step over and put a laser on it and see what the temperature is getting up to and kind of gauge how quickly I can move. And so if I kind of gauge how long it's taking, sometimes I'll have to pause in between shirts because I know it's taking a little longer. But again, the most consistent indicator I've found, besides just using a laser every shirt, is to look for that evaporation of the water out of the ink, and that steam coming up has usually been my most consistent indication that they're to a temperature they need to be. And I made sure I designed the print to be within the size of my flash so that I don't have to worry about, that heat getting all the way to the edges of the print. I'm confident that it's getting full coverage because it fits within that 16-inch flash. How long have you been printing, Mark? How long have you had your shop? And, given the name sportswear, do you assume you specialize in team apparel, things like that, or was that just a name? All right, there's another comment. David Tacklin, are you able to take breaks while printing water base, or do you have to go till you're done? No, thankfully I can take breaks. I'll break here in a little bit for lunch, and I'll, 30 minutes to an hour. I'll just make sure there's plenty of ink in the screen, leave it flooded, and then when I come back, I'll just do one test print just to clear the screen, and then get right back at it. That's what I did yesterday. So thank goodness, because if I had to just go till I was done on 1600, I would die. Printed 585 shirts yesterday. Um, taking some breaks here and there, and so I'll print all these white ones. I'm gonna finish the rest of this stack here. Probably be done for the day, and then start printing the royal blue ones tomorrow. So definitely don't have to do it all in one go, but if I'm going to walk away for more than an hour, if I'm done for the day, then I definitely need to clean out the screen and get all that ink out because it will dry, and then it'll block the stencil, and I won't be able to use it unless I take it off and spray it out with water. Then it would be fine, but do that too much and the emulsion's going to start to break down. But I hardened these out in the sun, so they should be good to go. But I do have a backup screen just in case that one starts to break down. Then I can use a different one. But I actually don't expect it to break down at all through this whole order. So I think it'll be fine. I think that seems to be everybody's biggest fear with water bases. They always hear, it dries on the screen too quickly. It's too hard to work with, and it's just really not. I mean, it's really not. It's not that hard to work with. I've printed plastisol one time, didn't cure it enough, washed out. It was a pain to print, and swore I would never do it again. I just feel like water base is just too easy. Easy to clean, easy to print, soft result. Just can't beat it. For me. Works great for me. And I'm even out here in a dry climate in Colorado, so. And I love these print grips are working great for this big order. Printed, like I said, 585 shirts yesterday. Didn't stop a single time to clean the print grip. If I was still just using the, water base adhesive that I've always used with just platen tape, I feel like I would have had to stop to clean it a couple of times through there. The one thing I will say about this low cure catalyst is that you notice that I've got this in a solo cup. because the catalyst does destroy the ink. Um, well, that's the wrong word. It gives it a shelf life, a limited lifespan once you add the catalyst to it. So the ink is only good for about 8 hours once you add the catalyst. So I have used some of these darker inks that are easier to cure, like black. I have kept it and used it again later, added fresh catalyst to it, and it has been fine. But just know, I only mix a little bit at a time for that reason. David, yeah, that's always in a bigger shop that's running a dryer, or you have those tabletop dryers, you're still going to need the low cure catalyst. Um, and so if you're going to need the catalyst, even if you get a dryer and you don't have a dryer, but you have a flash, you got everything you need to do water base. Um, so, yeah, what was your, God, I already forgot your question. Oh, different emulsion. Yeah. Yeah, you do need a dual cure emulsion. Um, so I use this base layer complete. You could also use the base layer long lasting, I think is also supposed to be good for water base or will work for water base. But I've used this base layer complete um, even back when it was um, cryo coat, what they called it before they rebranded it. So I've used it the whole time and it works great. So you do need an emulsion that does not is not water soluble. Um, that way, the water doesn't break it down. Um, so it does require a different emulsion. But if you're going to use water base and then also add plastisol, or you're going to do them both, a water-based emulsion will work with plastisol, but a plastisol only emulsion will not work with water base. So if you're going to do both, then it's good to switch. Or if you think you're going to do water base at some point, then might as well get used to using an emulsion that would work with it. But you do need to have a proper emulsion in order to have water base. Otherwise, it will start to break down too quickly. Zach, how are you doing, my friend? It's been great watching Zach's shop grow. This guy has been crushing it in the print shop game and growing very quickly, doing a great job. Always been supportive of things that I'm doing here with startup screen printing and other things that I do. For those interested that don't know, I can tell you a little bit about myself. So, as I've mentioned, I started in screen printing working at a print shop back in Tennessee as the graphic designer and the production manager. Ended up by the time before I left that shop, I was running all the day-to-day operations, and then moved to Colorado and worked remotely to help transition the new owners of that shop into ownership and teach them about the industry and about the business. And so spent some time kind of consulting there. Started my own shop at the same time once we moved out here to Colorado. printing just water-based ink. Have not ever wanted it to be full-time, so I've never promoted. I've purposely kind of kept it behind the scenes or below the radar so that it doesn't grow too quickly. I'm a marketing technology consultant for large Fortune, one's a Fortune top 10 company. So I get put on different accounts to help with marketing automation strategies, marketing technology implementation. And that consulting gig showed me how much I love to teach, and my passion for business led me to starting this channel, Startup Screen Printing, with the goal of, unlike other channels that you might see, I'm not trying to build my screen print channel or my screen print business, Alpine Apparel. I'm trying to build a coaching business, and so I coach other print shops on how to make business decisions. This channel exists to teach you business, things how to operate your screen print business, how to make the right business decisions, how to get customers, how to market your shop. And so I currently have some clients that I coach. I lead a small group of other shops that meets regularly, and have some courses and stuff out there. So that's what you're watching. You're watching me just kind of show you my process and talk about business. Love this industry and just want to see more shops succeed. I see a lot of people that get into screen printing and think that what they should focus on most is getting better at screen printing, and that's about 1/5 of what you need to know to have a successful print business. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how great you are at printing. It matters how good you are at making the right business decisions and building relationships with customers to get their business. In fact, I think Zach would be the first to say I think he's told me before one of his biggest success factors is the fact that he is clear, um, honest, and quick with his responses to his customers. He just focuses on customer support and making things simple, taking care of his customers, and he has seen the results of that, the fruits of that. And so he has grown very quickly. I believe his shop is either right at or just under 2 years old. And they've got a location and an auto, and they're just doing a great job. Now we're getting some conversation. Let me break to take a look at what you guys are doing. Yeah, arms are getting tired. Upper back is getting tired. Coach Matt. So this is a friend of mine who's a coach of a basketball team out in Kansas City. So I print their shirts sometimes. Yeah, Mark, give Waterbase a try. You'll be glad you did. I feel like there was something else. Oh, yeah, purpose of hanging the shirts. So, with Waterbase, one thing that this is the plasticine too, but when you're curing like me with a flash and you have it on all the time, it's not one that just, comes on when the shirt comes on under there and then goes off when it's not. These platinums are heating up, and that's both good and bad. It's good. You want them to have some warmth to them for Waterbase because it helps cure But you don't want to have too much because it'll dry out the ink when you go down to print, especially if you're printing an underbase and a top color. Um, you don't want them to get too hot. It can cause some issues there. But um, so if I were to, like if you're printing plastisol, you may have experienced this at your shop. You're letting those go down a dryer, and if they come out of that dryer hot, and that ink is hot, and if shirts fall on themselves and the print falls on itself, it can stick. And if you take shirts that are hot out of a dryer and stack them on top of each other, you can get ghosting from the print of one shirt onto the blank of the other. So hanging them, it actually is faster than stacking them. So for first of all, I don't have anywhere to stack them. Second of all, it's just faster. Even if I had a place to stack them, it's faster just to, hanger, pull it in, rip it out, good to go. But the reason I even started is because, first of all, I don't have anywhere to stack. And second of all, if I stack these shirts then they're still hot on top of each other, I can get that image ghosted onto the shirt below it. So rather than risk that, I just hang them up. So it is a way that has worked well for me. And like I said, these shirts averaging 130 shirts an hour, and I'm hanging them up. So I don't feel like it's slowing me down that much, because you think of the time to pull the shirt out and stack it straight. It's just not. I'm not saving any time by doing that. It's faster just to hang it. It's safer to hang it and let them cool, and then take them off and stack them as needed. So it's the process that works well for me. Oh, that's so funny, Coach Matt. I just assumed you were Matt, that my buddy. That's he's got a channel and it's called and it's the same thing, Coach Matt. Okay, well, yeah, that's funny. So you're Coach Matt from Los Angeles, uh, academic decathlon. Cool. So you're working on a fundraiser for apparel. That's so funny. Got you confused. My buddy Matt likes to jump on these. I haven't done one in a while, so I don't know what his. I can't see like the profile pictures, so I wasn't for sure, and I just assumed it was him. He likes to jump on these and uh, and give me a hard time, but that's hilarious. Okay, so I got you confused, but given uh, that I don't know who you are, and I thought you were somebody else. Thank you for the comment of this being inspiring and motivating. Um, that's super cool. And side note, Carmelo, what's up, brother? Haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Um, Coach Matt, that's good to hear that this is inspiring. That's my reason for doing this. This is not to show that, I'm not the best printer. I don't know the most about printing, but I do this and I encourage people because I know that you can be successful with this, and anybody can do screen printing and build a business around it. It's why it's why I do this channel. It's why I have, um, it's why I run the challenges that I run. It's why I did the courses that I do. It's why I lead the small group um, of other printers, because it's a great accountability system for those of us in the small group to keep each other accountable and encourage each other as we're building businesses. Um, and I think not enough people realize the value in surrounding yourself with others who are on the same journey, and how encouraging and motivational that can be. And it can be all the difference in your business to surround yourself with other people who are on the same journey. And I do this just in life in general. My wife and I lead a small group for our church. We lead a Bible study for our family, and it's just about getting ourselves around other people who are willing to do life together. And so I think more entrepreneurs need to do the same thing, of just get around other entrepreneurs who are in the same boat and can share experience and encouragement and hold each other accountable to our goals. And so it's super cool to see somebody say that's why this is enjoyable for them to watch me do this, and it's inspiring because it keeps me going, and that's really my goal. I'm not here to show off because, like I said, I don't know it all, and I'm not the best at this, but I just want to encourage others uh, that they can be successful in this if they work hard, are kind to people, build relationships, and try to do good work. You can be successful. So, thank you. Thank you for saying that this was enjoyable for that reason. And sorry that I got you confused with somebody else. It did not even occur to me. Good, Carmelo. Glad you're keeping up. Am I planning on finishing the shirts all in one go? No, I am not. Uh, did about 585 shirts yesterday. Doing all the whites today. I'll get started on the royal blues tomorrow. Um, I hope to finish it all up. I'll work on the royals tomorrow and Wednesday night. Not printing any tonight because I've got our small group meeting for our screen print builders small group. And so we got that meeting tonight, so I'm not printing any tonight. But I'll print tomorrow night and Wednesday night. And that should finish up all of the larger print. And then I'll have to take off my platens and put the smaller youth size platen on and do the smaller print for the remaining of those. So today I'm printing, let's see. Today I'm going to print 347 shirts. That's all of the whites. Yeah, an auto would be nice, but this is not bad. Everybody thinks you want to upgrade to an auto, but I'm telling you, it needs to be a last resort. Hang on, gotta take a phone call. Hey, Y'all, I'm going to take a break for lunch. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.